dark shadows and in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast, we are the brave and bold. It has been a difficult year for the candidates when it comes to plagiarism matters. First, Barack Obama was accused of plagiarizing from his longtime friend, Deval Patrick. And just after the first vice presidential candidate had been selected, Joe Biden, he finds himself in the middle of a plagiarism controversy. Of course, this isn't really the beginning of Biden's plagiarism controversy, but rather a continuation of a scandal that began over 20 years ago. The Biden case is different from Obama in several ways, the first of which is that the evidence both for and against is over 2 decades old. Before the era of YouTube, and in Biden's case, the accusations already helped to sink one of his earlier presidential campaigns. So what actually happened, and what can we learn from it? Here's what I've been able to learn about Mr. Biden and his plagiarism controversies. Skipping ahead just a little bit, Biden's trouble with plagiarism began at a stump speech in Iowa. At the end of the speech, Biden used a series of phrases that closely mirrored a previous speech by that of a British politician named Neil Kinnock. Although there are several reports that he had previously used and cited the source of those words, there seemed to be a clear understanding that in one case he did not. The result of this was his Democratic challenger, Michael Dukakis. Michael the Tank Dukakis created an attack video splicing together Biden's speech with that of Kinnock's. No, I usually don't do this in the cold opens. I actually don't usually do this at all. But here, we're going to take a break in this cold open, and I'm just going to play you some stuff that I found on YouTube. This is Joe Biden copies from Neil Kinnock.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university? Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
People in Britain would have been familiar with those words. They heard the same ones in a political commercial from Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Why am I the first Kinnock in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university? Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations?
Biden saw the Kinnock commercial and evidently loved it.
Was it because they were weak? Those people who could work 8 hours underground and then come up and play football? Weak?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania and would come up after 12 hours and play football for 4 hours?
Biden had told other audiences he admired Kinnock, not this one. This one, he later said, he had listening in hushed silence.
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I got another one we're going to play here. But before, this is from 87, and Biden was bald back then. Like, his fucking hair plugs are ludicrous. Okay, this is the next one. It's called Joe Biden, Plagiarist.
While at Syracuse Law School, Biden was involved in a plagiarism incident. He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation. He was given an F, but appealed to the faculty and allowed to repeat the course. He got a B. This comes in the middle of another controversy about plagiarism in Biden's campaign speeches. Today, he dismissed charges that he routinely adopts phrases from other politicians' speeches, called it much ado about nothing. Essentially, Biden said, everyone does it.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone,
I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
But to the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump, for example.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children, the quality of our education, the joy of their play.
This is how it sounded when Robert Kennedy said those words in 1968.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
That our generation of Americans will pay any price,
He's bold as
bear
fuck.
any burden, accept any challenge, and meet any hardship.
President John Kennedy's inaugural, 1961. Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising. Robert Kennedy's friend and speechwriter.
If what he did was to present Robert Kennedy's thoughts and statements and speeches as his own, then of course it's counterfeit.
Bam! One more. This is from 88, The Road to the White House with Senator Biden. This was before he was plugs.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the international moot court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
If I could say one thing, I think...
By the way, if Biden said that to me, I would do it. I would go for it in a heartbeat. I would be like, what do you want to do? You want Jeopardy? You want to do Jeopardy? You want to do Trivial Pursuit, fucking tic-tac-toe, chess? What do you want? I would do any of it with Joe Biden.
Just in my own opinion, I'm not questioning your IQ at all. I'm just saying that with the people that we have elected to office in recent years, I think that we have to question their credentials very solidly.
Well, I think you're right, Frank. But you know what I find kind of interesting? It seems to me if you can speak, you're at a liability in the Democratic Party anymore. It seems to me you've all become heartless technocrats. It seems to me that you forget that what happens is we have never as a party moved this nation by 14-point position papers and 9-point programs. It seems to me that when we got involved in the civil rights movement, Frank, nobody asked Martin Luther King what his legislative agenda was. He marched to change attitudes. When the women's movement started, it did not move with a constitutional amendment. They marched to change attitudes. And this party better understand full well that it's about time we change our attitude and we begin to change the attitudes of Americans about what their responsibilities are to the poor, about what their responsibilities are to other people.
All right, whatever. Back to this article. The attack was remarkably effective and can be described as a classic example of YouTube politics before the web even existed. Not only was Biden's reputation hurt by the initial scandal, reports from Newsweek also turned up allegations of plagiarism dating back to when he was a student at Syracuse Law School, where he failed and was forced to retake a course due to the allegation of plagiarism. The end result was that Biden, who was already lagging in the polls, was forced to drop out of the race. Although Biden continued to serve in the Senate, these allegations have stuck with him for pretty much his entire career since then. I would beg to differ. This aspect of Joe Biden's career has been whitewashed out of mainstream media. In fact, when I first started, this was written by Jonathan Baily, who's he's the head motherfucker in charge over at Plagiarism Today. There's a whole journal for this. When I first started Plagiarism Today, the most popular blog about plagiarism on the web wasn't about content theft or academic dishonesty. It was about Joe Biden. The Biden Plagiarism Scandal by Jonathan Baily, August 26, 2008, from Plagiarism Today. All right, so if you could tell, we have another live one. We have another live one.
The Abercast, occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Coming in hot. We're coming in hot. Hey everybody, welcome to the Abercast. I'm John Towers. You're like 3 in 1 week. What are you doing? But the world is turning, folks. The world is fucking turning, and there's shit happening that we need to get out in front of. I see that today, just saw across my phone, LJR just posted a article called Giuliani calls for probe into Biden's action with Ukrainian officials that may have benefited his son. So this is an omen. Like, I'm supposed to be talking about this stuff tonight. So I'm sorry for flooding your feed with 3 episodes this week. 2 of them were totally unplanned. The one from last night and this one. So I've been trying to struggle what I'm going to call this media biased hugs for plugs hashtag Biden 2020. I don't know, but this isn't really going to be about politics. This is about media. We're going to see is about media bias. The mainstream media, Trump's reporting in 2018 was 90% negative in the mainstream media. And in 2017, it was 91% negative. So we're doing a little bit better. So I guess what we're going to be talking about is the level of scrutiny that Trump and his kids, specifically Trump and his kids and his, administration has just gone through these last 2.5 years. And, you look at that 90 and 91% negative reporting number. And we're going to be talking about some crazy Biden stuff tonight. And I want you to think about why the media isn't telling you these things. Why isn't it on blast? You know what I'm saying? So before we do that, before we get started, let's go. Keep your eyes peeled for the upcoming sermon. The American sermon is turning into a 6-part new sermon. It's called The Sermon of the Wolf. So keep your eye out on that. Hey, I'm over at Subscribestar. If you want to help me out, head over to Subscribestar. I got like 14 hour-long exclusive episodes over there available, and new ones will be dropping every month starting next month. If you want to support the show, that's an awesome place to do it. Yeah, remember to check out the website, take a look at some of the comic books and graphic novels there, for some summer reading. You got some summer reading coming up. Check out the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. So the episode tonight, like I said, it isn't about politics. It's going to sound like that to some people. But tonight we're actually talking about media bias, and we're talking about it in no abstract kind of terms. We're actually looking at 2 shoes, 2 different feet, and the 2 different ways the media covers them. So this episode isn't all about Biden's plagiarism. That would be boring compared to what I have. On the menu for this evening, I have political corruption at the highest order. I have theft. I have drugs. I have Chinese and Ukrainian corruption and money. I have family sex stuff, like the kind of family sex stuff you see on Pornhub. We're going to be talking about it. Joe Biden's got it going on in his family right now. Oh, and this is going to be good. So if you're playing along at home, this is the time for you to summon your vessel of the art and adhere to your formula for your weapon of mass distraction. By the way, I forgot to mention, on the website, there's a shop button. I'm piloting. There's a pilot program. I have some of these vessels of the arts for sale. just stateside. Sorry, just stateside. I can't afford shipping international right now. So if you're interested in getting a awesome ass mason jar to drink out of when you're listening to the show or whenever, go ahead and hit up that shop button. I just did a thing where we were giving them away, and I had a few people reach out to me and ask me how they could actually purchase them. So we're doing a little pilot program trying to see if there's a want out there for these. So there you go. Okay, so you're adhering to the formula. You're mixing up your drink. I have it here. And let's get going. Giddy up. Biden's niece pleads guilty to $110,000 in credit card theft by Jacqueline Thomsen. 6/10/17. I don't know where I found this, but you just punch in that. All you got to do is punch in Biden's niece and you'll find it. She's a little piece of ass. Former Vice President Joe Biden's niece pleaded guilty Friday to charges in a $110,000 credit account theft case in New York City drugstore. The Associated Press reported Caroline Biden pled guilty to grand larceny and petty larceny. $110,000. What do you think her punishment was? She pleads guilty. What do you think her punishment was? I don't know. What do you think? She will receive 2 years probation if she repays the money, completes 10 days of community service, and isn't arrested again for 1 year, the AP reported. Biden reportedly used a borrowed credit card to open an account at a drugstore without permission from the cardholder and kept the tab open over a year, according to AP. So it sounds like there might be some tacked on some drug charges there. I wonder why they didn't do that. I wonder why they didn't do that. Biden was arrested in 2013 for hitting a police officer during a rent dispute with her roommate, but she received treatment for her anger issues and the case was dismissed. How many people do you think can punch a police officer and have charges dismissed? I'll tell you what, I used to work with cops all the time. I don't know one cop that would let that slide. They'd be like, nope, bitch, you're going down. 2 years probation for $110,000 in credit card theft. That doesn't seem fishy at all. What's next here? What do we got next? What time is it? All right, I got to lube up for a second. Biden's son discharged from Navy after testing positive for cocaine. This is by Eric Bradner. This isn't InfoWars. This is fucking CNN. October 17th, 2014. So his son that gets discharged from the Navy is a fucking walking Jerry Springer show. We're going to get more into him later, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Navy Reserve discharged Vice President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, this year after he tested positive for cocaine. U.S. officials confirmed the discharge of Biden, a 44-year-old lawyer and managing partner at an investment firm, was first reported by the Wall Street Journal on Thursday. He confirmed the report in a statement to CNN. Quote, it was an honor of my life to serve in the United States Navy, and I deeply regret and am embarrassed by my actions that led to my administrative discharge. Do you know what that means? That means that it's not a dishonorable discharge. The guy got caught. He was in the Navy for a month. Got caught testing hot for cocaine, and they just administrative discharged him. I know a guy who got plugged. He got hit pissing hot for pot, and he got dishonorably discharged. Like, he might have had to pay for his own fucking plane ride home. Like, so this, I wonder why this guy got off with, I deeply regret. Oh, okay, I already did that. I respect the Navy's decision. Oh, okay, so he respects the Navy's decision to shit can him after he pisses hot for cocaine. With the love and support of my family, I am moving forward, unquote, he said. Biden was commissioned as an ensign in May 2013. And he was assigned as a public affairs officer in Norfolk, Virginia-based reserve unit. A month later, he tested positive for cocaine, and he was discharged in February, according to the report. The U.S. official said the Navy never had contact with the vice president's office over the issue. Who believes that? And the standard procedure for failed drug test is administrative discharge, not in my experience. The vice president's office didn't comment on the report. Hunter Biden is the younger of Biden's two sons. His older brother, Beau, is a Delaware attorney general and a major in the Delaware Army National Guard, and he was deployed for a year in Iraq. Do one more here before we take a break. Double standard. Activists say Biden's hardline drug policy didn't apply to his children's cocaine and marijuana use. This is by Alana Goodman, Washington Examiner. This was just the other day. April 29th, 2019. During his 36 years in the Senate, Joe Biden helped craft some of the strictest anti-drug laws of the 80s and 90s, but drug reform advocates say his own children were able to avoid the brunt of these laws because they were white and wealthy. It skips right past the fact that their dad was a senator for like 50 fucking years and was the vice president for 8 years. That had nothing to do with it, I'm sure. The 76-year-old former vice president's daughter, Ashley, now 37, was arrested for marijuana possession at age 17. Records show the prosecutor declined to pursue the charges. Oh, it's just because she was white and rich. A decade later, a friend of Ashley Biden attempted to sell the New York Post a 43-minute hidden camera video purportedly showing Ashley snorting cocaine. The police did not get involved. Biden's son Hunter, now 49, joined the Navy Reserves in 2012 after receiving two special waivers, one because he was 3 years over the limit and of 40, and another for a drug-related incident when he was a young man. A month into his service, he tested hot for cocaine during a random drug test and was discharged. So what do you think that is? Like he had to get a waiver because he was a couple years over the 40? That's someone who's trying to get a background, right? That's someone that's trying to get military service so he can use it in politics later. That's what I think. You know, I served with a guy who was like, he wasn't a drinker, but he's like a real good friend of mine. Back then we had ration cards. This was in Germany, so each soldier was only allowed to buy so much booze. So because he didn't drink, my buddies and I would just fucking swipe his ration card. Anyhow, he would say that the reason that he was in was for resume enhancement for politics later. It's interesting. I think he's a fucking like tugboat driver right now. He's a tugboat pilot. 2017 divorce papers. Hunter Biden's then wife Kathleen stated he spent extravagantly on his own interests, including drugs, alcohol, prostitutes, strip clubs, and gifts for women with whom he has had sexual relations. The same year, it emerged that Hunter Biden, I didn't want to blow this right now. Maybe I should skip past this. No, it's coming up. God damn it. I didn't edit this good enough. It emerged that Hunter Biden was in a relationship with his late brother Beau's widow, Hallie. Hunter Biden separated from Kathleen 5 months after Beau's death from brain cancer at age 46 in May 2015. Biden's daughter Ashley was arrested in New Orleans for possession of marijuana while attending Tulane University in September 22nd, 1999. She was partying like it was 1999. She was just released on a $1,000 bond, according to court records. The case was never prosecuted because the district attorney declined to pick up the charges, according to the administrator at the Orleans Parish Magistrate Court. It's just because she was rich and white. It had nothing to do with the fact that her dad was a U.S. senator who had ran for president twice by then. He was a Democrat. Had nothing to do with that, I'm sure. She was also arrested in July 13th, 2001 for underage drinking at Howard County, Maryland. Fuck, if I was in Howard County, Maryland, I would be drinking as well. As a matter of fact, I'm drinking now, and I'm nowhere near Maryland. She was issued a bench warrant for failing to appear at a court, at a hearing on October 31st. She pleaded guilty and was fined. How much do you think she was fined? Underage drinking, failure to appear. She was fined $125, according to court records. In August 2002, she was arrested again on a misdemeanor charge, for allegedly obstructing police officers who were responding to an altercation in a bar in Chicago, according to reports. Ashley Biden blocked the officer's path and made intimidating statements after a patron threw a bottle at the police. Hunter Biden joined the Navy Reserves as an officer in 2012. Friends say that the move was part of a plan for a political career he believed might take him to the White House. After his discharge, a Navy spokesman declined to comment on whether it was an honorable general, under honorable conditions, or other than honorable. After his divorce from Kathleen, to whom he had been married for 23 years, they had 3 kids with Hunter Biden, said that one of the lessons had been, quote, love people and find a way to love yourself, unquote. Yeah, what? I'm down a whole bunch of pounds. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you want to give me a hand, you want to help me out, I'm over at subscribestar.com. It's subscribestar.com/Abercast. There's 14 exclusive episodes, plus a whole bunch of graphic content, plus some bonus audio and all that kind of stuff. It's basically like a free speech version of Patreon. And I think that we all need to start finding these free speech alternatives. Because of all this technocratic censorship that's going around. I did an episode about it a few weeks ago. So please consider going over to subscribestar.com /HTTP www.worldwideweb.subscribestar.com /Abercast. Find me and check it out. Also with this techno censorship, this free speech alternatives to these things, if you guys are on minds.com, find me, please. Find me on minds.com. I love minds.com, and I'm still getting used to using it and how to use it, but it's very cool. It's like a free speech Facebook, and it's really cool. Right now, my hardest problem with it is that it doesn't have an app for my smart devices. So you have to go through the browser all the time. I really hope they're working on that. Anyhow, yeah, so my goal is I want to get the fuck off of Facebook. With that being said, please find the Facebook page and like it. The YouTube page, Abercast.com. There's links to social media. You can sign up to my mailing list. The mailing list, you get graphic elements, worksheets, notes. We have a Kabbalah. We're in the middle of a Kabbalah series. So I'm talking about the Kabbalah and you're like, what's he talking about? A psychological triangle on the tree of life. You can sign into the mailing list. You can find the Kabbalah worksheet or note thing and it has all the diagrams right there. But there's just a ton of great stuff. I'm going to get back into doing those worksheets now that this fucking smoke's kind of clearing on all this moving around stuff. Also, while you're at Ebercast.com, check out some comic books and graphic novels. It is, you need summer reading material, right? I mentioned at the beginning of the show the shop button for the Vessel of the Arts, and the American Sermon is we're moving into our next phase. It's called the Sermon of the Wolf. It's a 6-part deep dive into werewolves, and I can't wait to get into that stuff. Okay, so let's get back into this. This is Pornhub. Hugs for plugs. Hashtag Biden 2020. Sponsored by Pornhub. Beau Biden's widow, Hallie Biden, is now dating his brother Hunter. Quote, Hallie and I are incredibly lucky to have found the love and support. This is like a real Tenenbaums. We have found each other in such difficult time. That's obvious to the people who love us the most, Hunter Biden said in a statement to Page 6. This is Lindsay Kimble, 2017, People magazine. The widow of Joe Biden's late son, Beau, is now dating the former vice president's other child, Hunter. The New York Post Page 6 reports. Hallie and Hunter began dating after Hunter split from his wife, Kathleen, with whom he shares 3 children, Finnegan, Maisie, and Naomi. The statement on Page 6, Hunter says, Hallie and I are incredibly lucky to have found others and support that we have for each other in difficult times, and it is obvious to the people who love us the most. We've been so lucky to have, I've been so lucky to have this close family and friends who have supported us every step of the way. Former Vice President and wife, Dr. Jill Biden, also said in a statement, we are all lucky that Hunter and Hallie found each other. They weren't very hard. It wasn't very hard for them to find each other. They were sitting at the same grown-ups table at Thanksgiving while they were putting their lives back together again after such sadness. They have mine and Jill's full, complete support, and we are happy for them. People has reached out to representatives of the Biden family who did not respond to a request for comment. Beau passed away in 2015 at the age of 46 after a battle with brain cancer. He left behind 2 children with Hallie, daughter Natalie, and Hunter. He named his fucking son after the brother that's now fucking his wife. Oh my God. How are you going to explain? Imagine how psychologically damaged all of these fucking kids are going to be. I come from a broken family. Like, I understand these family dynamics, and then it's hard enough to reconcile. They call them, what do they call them? Melded families or something. You know, these families that are just kind of like fucking scraped together because the dad likes to stick his dick in this woman that's got a bunch of kids and he's got a bunch of kids. A blended family. It's hard enough to get into the dynamics of a blended family, let alone if they're your fucking they're your cousins. Oh my God. Beau, the former state attorney general in Delaware, had suffered numerous medical problems leading to his death, including a minor stroke in 2010. 3 years later, he was admitted to the hospital after falling ill while on vacation, and he was diagnosed with brain cancer in August 2013. He underwent treatment. Okay, so the poor bastard died. He's dead, and his wife's now fucking his brother. And she named her kid after the guy she's now fucking. That's the brother of her husband. It's a mess. All right, so all that was like the light stuff. So we got all the light stuff out of the way. Now we're going to get into the area of not just natural crimes, not just crimes against nature. Now we're going to get into actual crimes. So you want to find, all this Russian collusion business, fucking buckle your seatbelt. Joe Biden's 2020 Ukrainian nightmare. A closed probe is revived. This is by John Solomon. What is this, thehill.com maybe? 2 years after leaving office, Joe Biden couldn't resist the temptation last year to brag to an audience of foreign policy specialists. Remember, the reason that supposedly that he was tapped as Obama's vice president was all this foreign policy experience that he brings to the table. So he couldn't resist the temptation last year to brag to an audience of foreign policy specialists about the time as vice president that he strong-armed Ukraine into firing its top prosecutor. In his own words, with video cameras rolling, Biden describes how he threatened Ukrainian President Pedro. Oh, God. I really embarrassed myself last night with these Venezuelan politicians. Pedro Poroshenko. President Petro Poroshenko in March 2016 that the Obama administration would pull $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees, sending the former Soviet Republic towards insolvency if he didn't immediately fire prosecutor Victor Shokin. This is Joe. Maybe I'll try to affect a Joe Biden kind of, we can't just, so I said to the guy, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here in, I think it was about 6 hours. And I looked at him and I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. That's not really right. I don't know how to do it, but I'm not an improv. This is not my area of speciality. Biden recalled telling Poroshenko, well, son of a bitch, he got fired. And they put in his place someone who was solid at the time, Biden told the Council on Foreign Relations event, insisting that President Obama was in on the threat. So why would the Vice President of the United States of America care about a prosecutor in Ukraine? Makes one wonder, doesn't it? Interviews with half a dozen senior Ukrainian officials confirm Biden's account, although they claim the pressure was applied over several months. This is not outside of Biden's purview to lie, to exaggerate your story. His story in late 2015 or early 2016, not just 6 hours of one dramatic day. Whatever the case, Poroshenko and Ukrainians parliament obliged by ending Shokin's tenure as prosecutor. Shokin was facing steep criticism in Ukraine and among some U.S. officials for not bringing enough corruption prosecutions when he was fired. But Ukrainian officials tell me there was one crucial piece of information that Biden must have known but didn't mention to his audience. The prosecutor he got fired was leading a wide-ranging corruption probe into the natural gas firm Burisma Holdings that employed Biden's younger son, Pornhub Hunter Biden, as a board member. How did he get to be a board member of a natural gas company in Ukraine when his dad was the vice president of the United States of goddamn America? U.S. banking records show Hunter Biden's American-based firm Rosemont Seneca Partners LLC received regular transfers into one of its accounts, usually more than $166,000 a month from Burisma from the spring of 2014 through fall of 2015, during a period when Vice President Biden was the main U.S. official dealing with Ukraine and its tense relationship with Russia. Remember when they sent all the tanks and stuff to the Ukraine? in that time. And there was a lot of speculation about what was really going on over there. The General Prosecutor's Office file for the Burisma probe, shared with me by senior Ukrainian officials, shows prosecutors identified Hunter Biden, business partner Devin Archer, and their firm, Rosemont Seneca, as a potential recipient of money. Shokin told me in written answers to questions that before he was fired as general prosecutor, he had made specific plans for the investigation that, quote, included interrogations and other crime investigation procedures into all members of the executive board, including Hunter Pornhub Biden. He added, I would like to emphasize the fact that the presumption of innocence is a principle in Ukraine, and that he couldn't describe the evidence further. William Russo, a spokesman for Joe Plugs Biden and Hunter Pornhub Biden, did not respond to the email messages Monday seeking comment. The phone number at Rosemont Seneca Partners in Washington is no longer in service on Monday. The timing of Hunter, Pornhub, Biden, and Archer's appointments to Burisma's board has been highlighted in the past in the New York Times in December 2015 and in a 2016 book by conservative author Pete Schweitzer. Although Biden made no mention of his son in his 2018 speech, U.S. and Ukrainian authorities both told me Biden and his office clearly had to know about the general prosecutor's probe of Burisma and his son's role. They noted that, 1, Hunter Pornhub Biden's appointment to the board was widely reported in American media. 2, the U.S. Embassy in Kiev that coordinated Biden's work in the country repeatedly and publicly discussed the general prosecutor's case against Burisma. 3, Great Britain, I was going to call it General Britain. Great Britain took a very public action against Burisma while Joe Biden was working with that government in Ukraine issues. Biden's office was quoted on the record acknowledging Hunter Pornhub Biden's role in Burisma in a New York Times article about the general prosecutor's Burisma case. That appeared 4 months before Biden forced the firing of Shokin. The vice president, you talk about obscuring justice. What are they? Obstruction. You talk about obstructing justice. I mean, remember, this whole thing's about media bias, everybody. How many times have you heard obstructing justice in the last 2.5 years? And look at this. Vice President's office suggested that in the article that Hunter Pornhub Biden was a lawyer free to pursue his own private business deals. Well, we're going to get into this in a little bit. President Obama named Biden the administration's point man. Plugs as the point man on the Ukraine in February of 2014 after a popular revolution ousted Russia-friendly President Viktor Yanukovych. And as Moscow sent military forces into the Ukraine's Crimea territory. According to Schweitzer's book, Vice President Biden met with Archer in April of 2014, right as Archer was named to the board of Burisma. A month later, Hunter Pornhub Biden was named to the board and oversee Burisma's legal team. I'm going to stop calling him Hunter Pornhub Biden. I'm going to start calling him Hunter Taboo Biden. I'm older than you guys, I bet. But the Ukrainian investigation, Joe Plug Biden's efforts to fire the prosecutor overseeing it has escaped without much public debate. Most of the general prosecutor's investigative work on Burisma focused on 3 separate cases, and most stopped abruptly once Shokin was fired. The most prominent of the Burisma cases were transferred to a different Ukrainian agency closely aligned with the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, known as the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, or NABU. According to the case file, the current general prosecutor, Yuri Y. Lutsenko, Taboo closed the case, and the second case involving alleged improper money transfers in London was dropped when Ukrainian officials failed to file the necessary documents by the required deadline. The General Prosecutor's Office successfully secured a multi-million-dollar judgment in a tax evasion case, Lutsenko said. He did not say who was the actual defendant in that case. As a result, the Biden family appears to have escaped the potential for an embarrassing inquiry overseas in the final days of the Obama administration and during an election in which Democrat Hillary Clinton was running for president in 2016. But then, as Plug's 2020 campaign wrapped up over the last year, Lutsenko, the Ukrainian prosecutor that Biden once hailed as a solid replacement for Shokin, began looking into what happened with the Burisma case that had been shut down. Lutsenko told me that while reviewing the Burisma investigative files, he discovered members of the board obtained funds as well as other U.S.-based legal entity Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, for, quote, consulting services, unquote. Lutsenko said that some of the evidence he knows about in the Burisma case may interest U.S. authorities, and he would like to present that information to a new U.S. Attorney General, William Barr, particularly the Vice President's intervention. Unfortunately, Mr. Biden had correlated and connected this aid with some of the HR personnel issues and changes in the prosecutor's office, Lutsenko said. All right, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I'm running out of time. The bank records show that on most months when Burisma money flowed, 2 wire transfers of $83,333.33 were each sent to Rosemont Seneca connected account on the same day. The same Rosemont Seneca linked account typically then would pay Hunter, Taboo, Biden one or more payments ranging from $5,000 to $25,000 each. Prosecutors reviewed internal company documents and wanted to interview Hunter, Taboo, Biden, and Archer about why they had received such payments according to interviews. All right, we all get the picture. We all get that picture. Everyone gets that picture. So with that being said, I want to know how come Joe Plugs Biden isn't having to answer these questions. How come no one is asking these questions to him? I mean, we know the answer. I'm asking rhetorically, I guess. How come no one's fucking asking him? Okay, so at the beginning of the show, you said something about China. China. Okay, so this is the last story of the evening. Breitbart editor, Biden's son inked a deal with Chinese government days after vice president's trip. This is by John Bowden, March 2018. This is from The Hill. A private equity firm managed by the son of former Vice President Plugs Biden struck a deal with China's state-owned bank in 2013 at the same time that Biden was in country to meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Hunter Taboo Biden, who arrived in China aboard Air Force Two alongside the vice president and the rest of the U.S. delegation, was at the time in control of Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, a private equity firm that would go on to strike a deal with the state-owned Bank of China to create a $1 billion joint investment fund. This sounds insane. In excerpts from his upcoming book, Secret Empires and How American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends, I think that title is a little on the nose, don't you? Breitbart News editor-in-chief Peter Schweitzer writes that the China deal was part of a trend in high-stakes dealing between the son's investment firm under Rosemont Entities umbrella and a foreign government that were also in the middle of striking deals with the Obama administration. So basically, this is like the same fucking thing. as the Ukraine business. Hunter Taboo Biden controlled the Rosemont entities, which he describes as a $2.4 billion private equity firm. In 2011, Hunter Taboo Biden met with top Chinese government fund leaders alongside managing partner Devon Archer and James Bulger, the nephew of notorious mobster Whitey Bulger, who controls a Massachusetts-based consultancy firm. The meeting took place just before the hours the vice president would meet with Hu Jintao, then China's president, in Washington as part of a nuclear security summit. I want to see the minutes of this meeting. I want to see the translator's notes. I want to see videotape of this meeting. A second meeting that year between Hunter Taboo Biden and other top Chinese officials would occur in Taiwan, where all your favorite toys were made. Just 2 weeks after the vice president opened up a strategic talk with China in Washington, in 2013, the younger Biden, this is Taboo that we're talking about, would be a part of official U.S. delegations to the country. Why? Why is he part of the official U.S. delegation of this country? 10 days later, Rosemont Entities inked a $1 billion deal with the Bank of China. The deal was eventually increased to $1.5 billion. Deals made by the firm, co-owned by the government of China, and the two sons, top of American officials, would go on to have serious national security implications for the United States. One such deal was the automotive subsidiary of Aviation Industry Corporation of China, AVIC, a major Chinese military contractor accused of frequently stealing U.S. military technology. Well, they steal it. They do steal it. But in the Clinton years, it was sold to them. Read into that what you may. In late 2015, AVIC would go on to purchase 51% of American precision parts manufacturer Hennings, and Joe Biden's son bought the other 49% in a deal that was approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which include members of numerous government agencies, including the State Department. How come no one has to answer questions about this? Taboo. How come no one has to answer questions about Taboo? In an email, spokesman Chris Hines, who is the son by marriage of John Kerry. You remember when John Kerry came out and he was like, yeah, really, it's like this secret sugar is a huge problem in America. We have to deal with food that has secret sugar in it. This guy married into money that was made by selling ketchup. You can't even make this up. Anyhow, Chris Hines, John Kerry's son by marriage, told The Hill that Hines had, quote, no operating role, unquote, in Rosemont Seneca, that it was not involved in any of the firm's dealings in China. Contradicting Schweitzer's original reports. Rosemont Capital is not, never was part of the Hines family. Okay, so there you go. Oh, I'm fucking exhausted. Here, I'm going to queue up this last video. Kevin Smith reviews The Avengers. I wonder if he cries. Hey, before we wrap this up, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to help me out, you can head over to subscribestar.com/Abercast. There's a bunch of exclusive episodes on there already, and the tier is super affordable. It's like $3 to subscribe right now until I start adding I'm going to add some different stuff. We're going to get a few different tiers on there. Right now, it's still just one thing. It's like $3. You're not going to miss it. And you get instant access to 14 exclusive episodes right there. We got Thelema stuff. We got Emerald Tablets of Thoth. We got Sex Magic. We got some something else. I'm forgetting something. There's tons of stuff up there. Go ahead and hit up Abercast.com, social media links, mailing list. You sign into the mailing list. You get a link sent to you that gives you access to a secret part of the website where you can go and download PDF files. It's basically graphic content, worksheets, notes. We have a Kabbalah. We're in the middle of a Kabbalah episodes series. So you can find like the hand drawn in my notebook. I just basically fucking put my notebook on my scanner and scanned in. So you get to see the tree of life. You get to see all the paths. You get to see the lightning bolt path juxtaposed on the tree of life. You get to see the different triangles, which way they're pointing. It's all very interesting. So go check that out. Also on the website, there's a shop button. Get your very own Vessel of the Art right now. I can't remember what the price point is, but it covers shipping as well. And it's not all by itself. Like it comes with, I got some like bookmarks and other stuff that I jam in there and send it out. We just did them as a giveaway, and I had a couple people reach out to me and asked how they can actually purchase one instead of waiting to get rewarded one. So there's a little pilot program. I have a few sitting here waiting to see if I can move them. So if you're interested in, full-size mason jar with the Abercast logo on it, this thing is like, it's been a dream of mine since I launched the podcast. Very own Vessel of the Art. This is where you can mix up your gin jihad right here, motherfuckers. Just do it. I said something earlier about minds.com. If you're on minds.com, please find me. I will subscribe back to you for sure. I'm still learning. I got my sea legs. I'm still learning it all. YouTube channel. And then the last thing I have to mention is the Sermon of the Wolf. The American Sermon is turning into the Sermon of the Wolf. We're doing a 6-part series, deep dive into werewolves. I'm actually recording the last 2 episodes this weekend. I'm psyched. I'm very psyched. I'm ready to show it off to you guys. So it's ready. It's going to be like on Monday. It's on Sunday night when the shows drop. On Sunday afternoon, Sunday night when the shows drop. The American Sermon is turning into the Sermon of the Wolf. So, if you're like, oh, a werewolf, their wolf. What? Their wolf, their castle. Why are you talking like that? I don't know. I thought you wanted to. So we're going to end right now tonight with, I got through the whole episode without talking about Joe Biden's being a complete gaffe machine. And I didn't even talk about how he's creepy and he fucking paws everybody up, all these young chicks and girls. I didn't even talk about that once. It's been like an hour. I didn't even mention, I guess I said hugs for plugs. That's something that came up. All right. Anyhow, I thought I would just leave you with some classic Biden gaffes. This is why he's never going to make it. He's never going to make it. He can't organize a thought in his head. I know you're like, you said that you could beat him at tic-tac-toe. You can't organize a thought in your head either? I know. Here we go. Anyhow, thank you guys for your support. Remember to check out all the stuff that I mentioned already before. I'm not going to go through it again. I love you. Thank you. Thanks for the support. Subscribe star, dudes, please.com. Abercast. Subscribe star/Abercast.com.
Seats to go for it. I'm a senior at the college, and I'm the vice president of the student body here.
Isn't it a bitch? Excuse me. Why shotgun?
I think the vice president very well knows that sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
But I always say what I mean. That if I wanted to be president of the United States, I could be vice president. I never make any big gaps. You guys love saying that about me.
But often his handsiness and comments
no dates till you're 30.
No dates till you're 30.
To those of a crazy but lovable uncle. But as they veer toward the more bizarre variety, it's raising questions about appropriate behavior for someone eyeing the White House.
So earlier this week, Biden publicly used the term Shylocks in reference to aggressive moneylenders. But it's a word considered anti-Semitic, a reference to a ruthless Jewish lender in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice.
Said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules.
Oh, they skipped past when he was talking about, he's like, if you go to like a 7-Eleven in this town, you have to have an Indian accent. They skipped that one. It's totally racist against the Indian people that fucking own 7-Elevens.
Unchain Wall Street.
Someone
going to put you all back in chains.
In Delaware, the largest growth of...
Why do they do this? What they do the old folksy Southern business when they're talking to like black folks. Remember Hillary Clinton's like, I don't feel in no ways tired. Google that. Hillary Clinton, I don't feel no ways tired. Watch that fucking video. Some people probably don't even know what I'm talking about. Watch that fucking video and be like, how is this? What a zippity doo-dah bullshit. I don't feel no ways tired. Oh, here's the yeah, okay. Here's the slight Indian accent business, I think.
The population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Once again, the curse of Biden strikes.
I've gotten to know you well enough. You want me to stop because I'm embarrassing you.
Pardon me?
Every 10 minutes there's a shift in sort of what the strategy is. Again,
who gives a It's a large, very identifiable Somali community.
So no one ever talks about when Biden was like he was backing Obama. This is before Obama had named him to be the vice president on his ticket. And Biden's like, yeah, I mean, look at the guy. He's clean. He's articulate. One of my best friends is black.
There's an awful lot who are driving cabs, and are friends of mine for real. I'm not being solicitous. I'm being serious.
Only 15 Somalis live in the entire state, according to the Census Bureau. And Wilmington cab drivers told CNN they knew of no Somalis driving taxis.
The vice president called the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi today to clarify remarks he made last week during a forum at Harvard.
And our biggest problem is our allies. Said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house. All this stuff about how different Barack Obama is. They're just not used to somebody really smart. They're just not used to somebody who's really well educated. They just don't know quite how to handle it. Because if he's as smart as Barack is, he mustn't be from my neighborhood. His mom lived in Long Island for 10 years or so. God rest her soul. And although your mom's still alive as your dad passed. God bless her soul. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
Barack America.
Barack says the 3-letter word, jobs. J-O-B-S, jobs. Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. Why shotgun? Why shotgun?
That was from the Daily Caller. Okay, this is the Abercast, everybody. Thank you very much.